All right. Ooh, let's figure this out. Okay, there we go. Should be working now. All right, everybody. Welcome. We are doing some new things today, so I'm testing out some new tech, some new setup, some new everything. So, we're gonna try to see what's going on. What happened during Clan Night Tahoe? Oh, I was able to show up at 9 o'clock. My son had a opening ceremonies for a 4-day competition that went from 7 to 8:30, and I had totally spaced it, and I had to go. I went with him because unfortunately, their advisor that was supposed to be there refused to go for the third year in a row. So they needed an adult in the room to be there and represent for them. So I had to go do that. So that's what was going on. I was helping Mr. Jerf out last night for an hour. But I got home and I got to go do stuff with Alex and Ichabus from 9 to 10. So I was a little bit late. A lot of bits late. But for good reasons. Hopefully everything's coming through on stream. I haven't checked to see the audio, if anything's coming through. Hopefully that worked. Huh? I can't hear JK. I had a feeling. I'm seeing levels here going up and down, so. Yeah, so that's what was going on, Bishak. I was doing some stuff for my son. That's why it was funny when he commented, I guess I'm the leader now. I'm like, son of a bitch, I was there with you. I'm the one that took you to go do your thing. God damn it. But it was a good joke by him. He was all, so we got home that night and he was all worried. He's like, Dad, you got to respond to the people in Dungeon Protocols. They're all freaking out that you're not there. And I'm just like, I'll be fine. I'll let them know what's going on. I'll get on. I'm not going to rush and, give myself a heart attack by running around like crazy, man. He's like, should I respond? I'm like, you're more than welcome to respond if you would like to. It's fine. And then he put that and I was just like, that's perfect. That's about right. Today is my last day working at the hospital. I'm going to miss the 2 toilets next to my office. One was good at sucking down nurse. The other. Some of the stuff that you come up with, B-Shack, I don't know if it should impress me or if I should just shake my head. Maybe a little bit of both. You really do have a writing career ahead of you at some point. I can see you writing some just crazy books at some point or some type of creative writing of some sorts. You definitely have the talent for it. All right, so yes, that's an instant classic. That should actually go on a t-shirt. Pretty sure. I'm the muse of my generation. Yes, you are. Okay, I think I'm ready to swap over and try out this new setup. So we've got a couple things going on here. I've got a little mobile microphone that I'm going to be using. So we're going to switch off of our main mic and go to the mobile mic. I'm hoping everything works for it. Is not a problem. Ooh, you know what? I didn't check. I've got no filters on it, so it's going to be unfiltered as all get up. So I don't know what it's going to sound like at the moment. Ah, damn it! I thought I tested it out, but Oh, I forgot. I was going to try to see if I can copy the filters over to the other one. Do I want to change what I'm doing here? Maybe I might want to change what I'm doing here instead. Hopefully it doesn't pop too much. Hold on for 1 second. We're gonna mess around here a little bit. Do I even want to keep the mobile mic then if I'm not even gonna use it? Okay, hold on. We're gonna swap over. We're gonna see what happens. Hello? Check, check. Can you all hear me still? Is it working? I can see it registering. Actually, it's really loud too. I'm actually going to turn it down quite a bit here. Does it sound funny? Does it sound different? Does it sound odd? Does it sound just about the same? No difference? No worries? Yes, no, maybe so. I can only hear this high-pitched screeching like someone is trying to communicate with words. Let me double check. Make sure everything's going okay. Oh no, I sound great. You're full of poo-poos. Okay. I think we're good with that. So I did put some other things together for our stream today. Sunny, if you wanted to check in the Tahoe Anime Rewards part of the channel there, I did add a ad break incoming button for you, so you can throw down if I miss an ad break coming up and you happen to catch it. I did put a button in there for that. And I think there is a notification for it, and it will announce it on stream this way that I can hear it.
Sunny_Ruth just redeemed AD break incoming.
Yep, that one. So now I should be able to hear that even if I'm not looking at the computer, so that should be good. I think you only get 5 per stream, I think is what I set up. So just be aware of that. I think that's the cooldown I put for it. Just trying it out to see if it works. Yeah, I think those were the ones. That's what I put on there. There was one other thing that I had done, but I can't remember what it was. Well, I wanted to try this. Because there's no charge for me to do it. I probably won't see it on my side. You guys might see it on your side at the on-screen celebration. Let me know if you saw that or not. Okay. I think that's all the stuff. I'm trying to remember if there was one other thing. I had to go move some stuff around in our notifications. Modify single, choose an emote to, what is this? Choose. Oh, this choose an emote to unlock. That's right. That's what the other point one is. I can't remember. There was something else, Sunny, that we had talked about that we thought would be fun to add to the channel. I can't remember what it was. I know we wanted to do like a text-to-speech of some sort, some type of redeem. for text-to-speech, but I gotta figure out how to do that. I know I can do it with the reward stuff using the buttons points to do what we need to do. Oh no. Okay, no, that's fine now. It worked. Ooh. I was starting to freak out a little bit, which was. Okay, let's go ahead and start working on stuff for the day here because we got lots to experiment on. Let's swap over to our new setup here. Woo! All right, there's our new setup. So last week I had the camera set up on my table here on my desk while I was doing all of the carving for our print that we were going to do, our stamp print lino cut thingamajiggy. So like I said on Monday, I sat down on Tuesday and went ahead and finished up the rest of the cutting on the lino, and we are ready to run some test prints today to see if everything works or if there's any errors or problems or things like that with any of the stuff. So we've kind of got a little makeshift setup right here on the table, really close to the computer, but not the same. So got the table covered up with a cloth and everything else like that, but we've got all our stuff here ready to go for some printmaking. So I'm gonna move over there. Dun, dun, dun. And I gotta figure out how to. I'm gonna try to keep an eye. I'm gonna try to attach this microphone to myself here. Can you all still hear me? Yeah, it still works. Okay. Hello, I'm here. So this was our end cuts for our lino here. Get you nice and close. You can see all of the little markings for everything that we've cut here. I went ahead and cleaned it all up, got some water gently, washed off all of the rest of the ink that was on there. Tried to get a lot of this pencil off. Didn't really want to come off, so it should be fine. We're going to roll over it with ink, so it's not really going to matter much. But you kind of get the idea of what we've got going on here. So this is going to be our print here that we're going to attempt to produce. But we're going to do a couple tests before we get on to doing this big block here. So we're going to move this off the table for now. Put that back under our thing so we can. So I wanted to show you a couple different things. One, I wanted to show you a completed block that I've done a while ago. So this one was done years ago while I was doing a lot more printing and stuff like that. It was just a simple design for a bookmark. I just wanted to see if I could do it, put the words on it. I actually made a double so that I could print this and then cut them out and get two for one kind of thing. I think it actually worked. Yeah, you could do 2 and 2, so you could get 4 per page was the idea with this one, which was kind of cool. But you can see how the print, all of the lettering and stuff like that is backwards, so that when you flip it over and print it, all of the words come out the correct direction. So I figured I would test out a couple of different versions. I would test out this block to see if we can get a print out of it. I will also test out a little smaller one, a little rubber eraser print. You guys can see. So I just took an eraser and I cut a little design into it. Simple, easy. These are just normal erasers that you use for school back in the day. You can get these for like 99 cents at a dollar store or something like that. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, it's a $1.50 store now or something like that. Anyways, so I figured we try on this little guy first to see if we can actually get the ink to stick to it and do a print. And go from there and then go to the bigger one and then go to our main print. So a little bit of a workup here towards getting our main print started and done, but necessary tests to make sure everything's working. So I did go ahead and test this on a ink pad. So just a typical stamp ink pad, you know, the ones that you press in and then you stamp onto stuff. So I have some examples of this stamp working on an ink pad. So yeah, but this is going to be a slightly different process with the ink that we're using. So if anything comes up, please let me know. Yeah, you can just send the Tahoe cheer or anything like that, and I'll turn around and I'll look at the computer, because I'm looking the opposite direction of where the computer is at right now with all of our OBS stuff on it. So, but that's the plan. I'll try to explain some of the other stuff that I have here, the other tools and stuff, so that you guys have an idea of what I'm using, what's going on here. So first off, on our table, I just have a blank piece of scrap paper here, this way so I don't get ink all over the place, different areas. And then over on this left-hand side, I've got a piece of acrylic here, because I ended up losing my piece of glass that I was using to roll out my ink on. But I had this nice piece of acrylic, so I was like, nah, screw it, I'll just use that for now. It should be okay. Just a couple images underneath the acrylic, just so that I could see the ink on top of it, because our tablecloth is gray, so I didn't want to lose where the ink was, so I just put something underneath it. We've got our speedball roller here. This is we're going to actually use to transfer our ink to our objects here. And then got a couple other tools. Got our ink spreader here. We'll get our ink out with this, spread it on our piece of plexi over here, and then roll it all out, kind of thing. Some other things that we have this nice, shoot, I forgot what they call this. It's helping when you do your print to apply pressure to the whole print, and you just kind of spin it around, kind of like this. Helps you press down the print so you get a nice even print all around. So, tool that I bought a long time ago that I still have from printmaking, so figured I'd have to use it. Pressing pad, something like that. I can't remember what it was called. Not a roller, anything like that. I don't remember. But yeah, that's what we got going on. I do have our speedball ink here. I did buy the screen printing ink. I don't know if this is going to really work with what we're doing. It's fairly thick, fairly thin. It should technically work, especially since we're going to be printing onto fabric material. This is the stuff that they use for screen printing, which has been really good for t-shirt designs and stuff for lots and lots of years. So hopefully that's going to work, but that's what we're going to try and test today as well. All right, double checking, making sure everything else is good. I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to try some stuff out here. We don't need a lot of ink on this first one. Like I said, we're just testing this out here, so we just want to get a feel for this and see how it's going to go. So we're going to go ahead and roll it onto the roller here. And we're just going back and forth so we can get it nice and even, or as even as possible. The whole point of putting it on this plexiglass in the first place. Trying to get a nice even roll across our pad here. Not too bad. So we don't want to just roll it back and forth the whole time. We want to actually roll, pick up, and then start again and roll that way. And we want to change directions. So like I said, that we get a nice even layer of ink here that goes onto the roller. Oh, that's what this is. I think this is a brayer. I think I remembered that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. Okay, so now we've thoroughly inked up our little print here. Let me see, do I have a little piece of paper? I thought I had a little piece here somewhere. Guess not. So we're gonna go ahead and grab one of our scrap pieces here. Move this up. Gonna flip this over and we're gonna try to print it right here. We're just gonna apply as much even pressure as we can, pressing it down. We don't want to go too heavy, but we don't want to go too light either. There we go. Hey, not too bad. It did it. We got a very slight print there. Very slight print. Not too bad, not too bad. Hopefully our ink is really not meant to be rolled like this. Slightly meant for a different application, but we're trying it anyways. We're gonna try again. Try to get a nice even roll across this. You know what I might need to do is I might need to get a piece of plywood or something. Hold on. I do have a block here. Put that there. Maybe we needed something harder to press on instead of the sheet that I had put there. Maybe that was part of our problem. Oh yeah, much better print. Yeah, that was part of our problem. It just wasn't hard enough to press on. It was too soft underneath, getting too much squish on it. Much better print. We're getting there. Needs a little bit more ink. I think. We're gonna try it a couple more times and see how it goes. Try again. Come on, roll. Let's try this one. Trying to apply some good pressure here. Yeah, not too bad. Not great, but not too bad. Getting better. We definitely over inked it. It's definitely too much ink on this one. It went in between the grooves, and we're starting to get some fill in is the problem. You want the ink to be nice and thin to go on to the onto the pad here, because otherwise it starts to fill in all those grooves, and if you press too hard, then those grooves start to actually, the print goes, or the paint goes through, the ink goes through. We don't want that. So we're definitely trying to get this thinned out as best we can. This is why I'm running all these tests just to make sure everything's going to work out correctly. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of that for now. Let's see if we can try out this big one. You know what? I'm not going to add any more ink for now. Definitely want to thin out this ink as best we can. Sorry about the screeching if you can hear that. I think we need a little bit more of this. This is why this was a risky maneuver, trying this out, because I wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen with it. Right, my roller keeps getting stuck. I put some WD-40 in it, but I don't want that to get into our print either. I'm just gonna keep inking it best we can. Okay, let's try that, see how that goes. We're going to do a little bit different technique. Instead of putting the print onto there, we're going to put the paper onto the pad here. And we're actually going to use sprayer here. Try this print. Trying to make sure we get nice, even pressure across it before we pull the print and see how it went. All right, let's see how we did here. Not too bad. We actually got a print out of that. Not exactly everything that I wanted, but pretty good. We actually got a print. Not too bad, not too shabby. The other part about this type of printmaking is as you print more of them, so now that we have it inked up, there's going to be a little bit of residual ink that's going to remain on the surface here of this block that we've just done. And then we're going to put more on it, so it's going to continue to build up on top of it until we get it, hopefully till we get a good, nice, solid print out of it. So that's the idea and the plan here. Hopefully. I've got a couple other scrap papers here so that we can make another copy, another print of this. And we continue on. Try to thicken this up a little bit here. We don't want it to be too thick on the block either because it'll squish out. So we want to get enough on there to coat nice and evenly, but we don't want too much that it starts squeezing out into our non-detailed areas. Stuck my finger right in there. All right, let's try that. Looks pretty even, looks pretty good. can definitely see there's more ink on this one because I can see it coming through the paper a little bit better here now too. And better paper will absorb more ink, so, which is good, which is what we want. Okay. We got this one pressed. Let's see how this one turned out. Oh. Come on, come on. Wow. Look at that. Much better. Look at the comparison between these two. Much more ink came through on this print compared to this one. We still lost a little bit of details in there. Not full adhesion with that ink, but we're dang close right there. That's usually the way it works. You get one soft print or a couple soft prints right off the beginning, and then you get much darker prints as you move through and make more copies. So that's awesome. That's looking way better. That's telling me this is actually kind of working. So I'm not unhappy with that. That's a good sign. That's actually a really good print. Very happy with that. Cool. Question is, do I want to switch over to our other block and start inking that one up and testing out that one? Probably. I think we're done with this one. I think we're ready to move on. I think I need to get rid of this paper too. So let's go ahead and just move that out of the way. Let's grab another piece of scrap paper. Let's bring in our main piece that we want to print here. Try to get this on this block. I got a little piece of plywood here. Actually, you know what? Let me go grab one that's slightly bigger because I want to make sure that we have plenty of room to press down on this one. So give me 1 second. I will be right back. Okay, I have returned. I've got a much bigger block, so let's go ahead and move these out of the way. Take this off the table. Aha! Much bigger square. Now that fits. Go ahead and move this up. There you go. Now you guys can see the full thing there. Because I had just a little guy for the little print. So we should be all good now. Okay, so we are ready to ink this bad boy. I'm a little nervous about it, but I don't know what. I hope it's going to turn out okay, but I'm not 100% sure. So. Go ahead and we'll apply some more ink here. Try to give it a good fighting chance of having enough ink. It won't be, like I said, it won't be good right off the bat, but we'll be able to add more as we do more test prints. My printmaking teachers in college would be proud of me that I remember most of all of this. All right, here we go. Big moment. You guys get to watch the design come to life right here as we're inking it. Well, I can definitely see a lot of the details. I can see a few of the high spots that I was worried about. But all things that we can fix, change, adjust as we move through the process here. So, and it really depends on what, once we press this, what that looks like. So. Go ahead and give this one final roll over here. Try to get that initial ink set. It's almost like you have to prime the system a little bit. When you put that first batch of ink on there, you're priming the block for more ink is what you're doing. Okay. I think we're ready for our first test print. Go ahead and try this out. Probably not going to look very good. Like I said, the more prints you do, the more ink transfers and the better. It's a slow process, not a very fast one. Remember, this is just scrap paper. It's not that good. We don't really care about it that much. Okay, I'm pressing a little bit more on the insides of the design, trying to get those inside details really pressed in there. Getting close to our break time, so. Okay, ready for our first reveal here. Ooh, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Look at that. We got a print out of it. Huzzah. It's very rough, but it works. Like I said, as we ink it more, it should even itself out a little bit better. Especially if we run thinner layer of ink on here. Definitely see some high spots that I don't like. Here, we've got some stuff. We've got a couple ink spots there. Not horrible. A couple in his face. We can definitely cut those out later. It really depends on what some of our final prints end up looking like later on. Really depends. These guys, these ones here. Not too bad. Not too bad. Like I said, this was a very ambitious print design because of these thin details. So to even get this on this shitty paper is actually interesting. So I do have a thicker piece of paper here. We'll definitely have to try out with one of our test prints here. But yeah, not too bad for our first go around. A couple more pieces of junk paper. What do we got for time here? We got a few minutes. We're gonna ink up again. The other part of this is trying to make sure to keep your hands as clean as you can so that you're not putting your fingers into your print either. That's the other big thing. The other constraint here that is going to be interesting is when we actually go to print these on the bags, whether or not the same thing happens, the transfer happens correctly compared to paper. So paper and material, very different substrates, so it's always going to have a little bit of a difference. That's why we do all these experiments, just to see how things go. Don't want to over ink the block as well. We want to get nice, even across it as much as we can. Come on. Gotta roll, buddy. You gotta roll. Don't just smear the ink. You have to roll. think we over inked this one. I think this one's going to be a dud. I can already see, I think we over inked it, but that's okay. Okay. So we're moving on from scrap paper to just normal paper here. So we actually be able to see as we press down here, as long as it doesn't move. Start to see some of the design pop through. Yeah, I got problems. This just keeps moving around on me. I'm gonna try a little bit less pressure this time. Let's see how it comes out. It's all about finding that balance. All right. You can partially see part of the design coming through already. That's our ink setting into the paper there. So let's pull this one before we go on our break. Hey, not too bad. A little blurry. A lot of blurry. But not too bad. Not the best in the world. Not the worst in the world. Not too bad. Could be better. Could be better. We definitely got a little over inked here. So we'll have to work on getting some of that ink off. A couple other tests here, and then go from there. So we're making progress. It's slow, it's awkward, it's printmaking, as it always is. The way it works. Let me switch over to our assistant cam. We'll take a 3-minute break here. I'll reassess, see what else I've got going on with this, see if we can get things figured out, and then we'll go from there. So stick around. I'll be right back.
Bryce Austin Pet the assistant.
Yeah, it's just gonna be poopies. This thing is just not rolling very well. Try to warn her. What did I come out here for? Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's Poopay. Trying our best to get this all figured out. Oh, our assistant is dreaming. Aw. I went and got some double stick tape, so we're going to try to stick our block down. It's not. We'll have to see how it goes. I have to see how it goes. This whole thing was an experiment to see if it would work at all. I think I said that as I was walking out to the garage, that I wasn't quite sure if this was going to end up poopy or not. It's kind of a shot in the dark. Like you never quite know when you're trying to like mix mediums a little bit here. Like there's a lot of people that do this like on the regular, use these type of lino to do prints and everything else like that. So it's like it's not an unusual thing. It's not a out of the box kind of idea, but being able to successfully do it and get good prints out of it does take time, patience, probably a lot more tests or a lot more like having to recut the block several times to get a really good setup for stuff. So you never quite know what the end result is unless you can control all of the factors, right? And that's what printmaking is making sure you can control all the things. All right, let's see. All right, so I think I'm having too much issue with this moving around while I'm trying to do test prints here. So I'm trying to decide. Yeah, I already got ink down here, so we're going to go ahead and sacrifice the boards down here. Happens a lot in woodworking, happens in printmaking, sacrificial objects here. It's okay. We're gonna throw down some industrial double stick tape here. This way, hopefully nothing moves on us. I think that's part of the problem with what I've got going on at the moment. I think I was moving around too much and it was causing issues with the print too. You don't want things to jostle. You want them to stay exactly where they were going to stay. So while we were at break there, I actually went ahead and did a very light print on this one, trying to get as much of the ink off of the block as we can, trying to all of these areas where it actually pushed down below the ridge lines, we don't want those. So, and that may be a problem with me pushing too hard or over inking the block, a couple different things. So we're backing off on that, trying to got as much of the ink off as possible for now. So now we're going to re-ink this with our block not moving and seeing if we can get a different print out of it and try to do less pressure on the block as we're printing it. is the goal. This would also help us ink the block since it's not moving around as much anymore. We really do. We want the ink just to sit right on top. We want a nice thin layer of ink here. We don't want a lot. Good. Our ink is drying out a little bit. Thinner is better. Dang it. Okay, let's try this again. Wish I had some water here. Clean up a little bit of the splooge that went out a little bit further than I wanted it to. Okay, this time we're just going to go nice and easy. It should result in a slightly lighter print, theoretically. Just depends. If we inked it correctly, then we should be okay, but we're doing pretty good right now. Nice and light on this touch here. See some of the details coming through here. Couple little presses there. Trying really hard not to press really hard here. Just enough. Some of our details are not are pretty shallow, so. Yeah. So that's the difference between our inking. When you over ink it, you get this really fuzzy, just blah everywhere. But when you ink it just about right, nice and thin, it actually comes out just about where you need it to. That's the hard part, is getting those two things right. So you want a light pressure with a very thin layer of ink, so it just sits right on top and doesn't bend down in between all of the lines and stuff like that. So this one actually is much better than this one, which was our first one, which is great, which means that our block is actually getting inked correctly. Our details are holding really, really well. Not too bad. Not too bad. That's our best one yet. Not too bad at all. Question is, I don't want to add too much more ink here, but I do need to freshen it up a little bit. Sorry for the screaming turkeys yet once again. Sorry for anybody who's new coming in here hearing that. I knew of a way to stop it from doing that. I'm not pressing really hard on the roller either, because I don't want ink, like I said, down into those grooves. The last thing I want. Really does require a light touch, just a little bit. Okay, let's try this one more time here. I'll put a little bit more pressure into this, see if I can get that ink to really press in and set on this paper. Like I said, this paper is not very absorbent, so it's not going to take a lot. So even our test print, that's kind of our best one so far, that's pretty good for this type of paper, junk paper. Okay. Do a little test here. Yeah. Look at that. Not too bad. We're getting there. Yeah, see how our ink evened out? We're getting there with the ink. Doing pretty good. Not too bad. I can definitely tell which high spots I would like to get rid of. That might be in between. We might not get to doing our bag print today, our test bag print. Actually, we could do our test bag print. Strong possibility. Definitely have better blacks in here. The eye filled in, which is really nice. Yeah, some of the details. The details came out, so like it's not like they didn't. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I definitely forgot to put in his whiskers over here. I missed those ones. Over here should have been coming off. It's okay. Sweet. That's our current test print, which is good. Okay, so the question is, what do we do now? Oops, I realized I unzipped my... Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yeah. Oh, our camera blurred. What the hell? There we go. Now we got back on autofocus. Well, hopefully you guys didn't miss too much with that. Oh, because I had this, so it focused on that. Yeah. Not a bad print. Like I said, pretty good. I mean, I don't mind jumping to trying it out on the bag and seeing what happens. Possibility. Might want to try. Let's go ahead and remove this for now. Move this. Actually, you know what? Let's do one more. Let's do this on our thicker paper here. Like I was saying before, I've got one piece of thicker paper. Let's try the thicker paper on here and go from there and see what that does. Remember, one other thing that from printmaking, less is more when it comes to the ink. So we're not adding a whole bunch more like I was doing at the beginning. We're just redistributing the ink, getting it refreshed onto the roller here. Okay, you can hear that a little bit, can't you? Oh yeah. Squealy dance. When I was doing this in college, we would actually buy really expensive, I wouldn't say really expensive, but more expensive paper than what I'm printing on to do prints on, just because the absorbency of nicer papers is much better. Dang it. Does not want to stay in the middle. Okay, we're all inked up. Here's our thicker, semi-nicer piece of paper. We won't be able to see through like we were doing on the other test prints because the ink won't go through as much. So we're gonna have to hope and pray that we get everything pressed down nice and evenly here. Get a little bit more stiffer of a paper, then it won't fold down into those crevices where the extra ink is. So we should be able to apply slightly more pressure to get a little bit more ink transfer out of it without having as much of the side ink popping through, theoretically. All right. Got a little bit of ink on that, but that we're okay. Not too bad. I still think the last one was a little bit better. I think too much pressure I put into that one. I can also see that the paper skipped a little bit there. I moved the paper at one point, so we got a little bit of a double image going on there. Just a little bit. It's not bad. I don't know if it's going to be production quality that I want. We'll have to see. Yeah, this was a better print than that was. Did not come out as well. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right, let's get rid of this for the moment. Put our little one back up here. Let's bring in our bag here. You guys can see the top part of this. Just a little canvas bag. We're gonna try, I think I wanna try putting this one on there first. I think we've kind of got the paper part figured out. So now we have to figure out if any of this transfers over to our bag here. So we're gonna try, I'm gonna ink this guy up, this little one, and then try it on one of the corners and see how we go and see if we need to make any adjustments to our prints. Do you have a spare piece of fabric you can try it on first? Yeah, so I've got one whole bag here. Can't really see it too much. Got the little straps on it and everything else. So we're just going to go ahead and use it on this one. We've got one of them just going to have to be our test piece regardless. So just the way it's going to have to work. Okay. Don't need too much for this. I don't know if there's a way to fix that so it's not as squealy. Some grease or something, I don't know. Okay, try that. That out of the way. Put this up here. We're gonna try this out. We'll see what happens. Don't know how hard to press on this one either. Okay, moment of truth here. We got a print, so it did do something here. It did do something. Did transfer it. Not a good transfer, but it is one. We'll see if we ink the block a second time since this one's been sitting for a minute without being used. If this is better. I point the microphone away from the wheelie noise here. Okay, attempt number 2. Put this one over in this corner. Okay, here we go. Wonder if I should leave that for a minute. I'll press harder. About the same results. We got about the same results out of that. So, not that much different. We definitely got prints out of it. They're not great prints, but we did get prints. I guess the big test will be whether or not we get a good print out of the main block or not. I I think that's the big test here. But in order to do that, pull this off of our block. Did I want to do that? I want to put the bag on here too. I can press on it. We had some issues with the rolling, so let's go ahead and stick that back on there. We can peel it off afterwards. Trying really hard not to get ink everywhere. Guess we don't need the brayer anymore. We're not doing paper. Okay. Gonna have to punt a little bit here. That's fine. All right, we're gonna go for it and see what happens. How much time we got left in our stream? We got 30 minutes. We're good. Need some of those bearings, the good bearings. Definitely probably not going to be a vibrant print with lots of black ink. Come on. Come on. I think screen printing would have been better for this. Don't slide. When you slide, you push the ink off. You have to roll to put the ink on. Uber thing. Maybe I'm pressing too hard. Okay. Moment of truth here. Gotta do this kind of quick. Let's go ahead and flip this over. Put this here. Go ahead and align this. Try to smooth that out a little bit. Ooh. Now we're doing the upside down version. So instead of pressing the ink or taking the bag and putting it onto the ink block, we are taking the block and putting it onto the bag. Just opposite. All right, we're ready. We're ready for this. Let's try to center this a little bit better so you all can see. I don't have high hopes for this. I don't have high hopes for this. Well, we got a print. We did get something. It's not nothing. It's much better than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure. Is it as good as I want it to be? No. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it much better than that, though. But we did get a print on it. That's something. At the very least. Yeah, I don't think it's going to give me... I don't think it's going to give me enough ink transfer to make it necessarily worth it. That's a wonderful idea, but I don't know. That's super, super light. And I don't know if I can get it to go any darker than that. You wouldn't want to multi-print it either. Multi-print means like doing it 2 or 3 times on top of each other because your registration is always going to move slightly off from each other. I don't know. I don't know if I can consider these a success or not. It's definitely not what I wanted. I was hoping to get a little bit closer, not that one. I was hoping to get a little bit closer to like this. But you can tell this is the difference between material which is less absorbent or less smooth, it's more absorbent than this, where the ink can actually like spread a little bit. This doesn't. It just has much more pores in it because of the threads and stuff like that. So it's going to take ink much differently. Crazy part is the details are all there. It's just super, super thin. Which is always the risk when you're doing this type of printmaking. Definitely gonna have to review and see what it is I would like to do with that from there. I don't know. I guess I should have printed it further over to the left so I could have put 2 next to each other. But I don't think that would have made much of a difference. Our 2 samples down here almost are identical. We didn't get any more ink transfer down there comparatively. I could apply more pressure. That might be the big thing. Don't want to apply too much pressure though. Not sure. All right, well, let's sit over here and think about it for a second. Hello, everybody. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. I'm gonna mute myself so I can blow my nose real quick. Okay, I have returned. All right, well, I may have to look into some other options. Let me move my microphone. Sorry, it's gonna make a bunch of noise. So this was kind of our like in between thought. Instead of trying to do like iron-on transfers, which are kind of iffy, because they definitely leave material behind. Don't necessarily want to go to DTF transfers because that would be another big cost that I would have to put out there. There's some other, oops, stepped on something. Hold on. Stepped on my double stick tape that I put down. There's sublimation that I could possibly do, but that also requires me buying a special machine for that, or buying the prints from somebody and having them shipped to me. I could do a screen print option, but once again, I have to figure out how to make a screen for it. More costs that way. Kind of up in the air a little bit here. Not sure what the next step is. Yeah. We got about 20 minutes left in the stream. Yeah. Hey Bryce, I got a question for you, if you're still here. I know you're probably getting ready to take off. Oh no, you probably got a little bit of time before you take off to go to school or go to work, one of the two. Hopefully you're still here. Oh, I think my Firebot might be not working correctly. It's telling me things that are here are not here. Okay. Yeah. Let me grab the design real quick. So it's a really ambitious design. I really did push the limit on this, trying to get it to work. Yeah, I don't think I have to wash my stamp. So the other part about this type of printing and stuff like that is once you're done, everything has to be washed, so you have to try to get as much of the ink and stuff off as you can. Luckily, since this is just a screen printing ink, it is water soluble, so it should be able to wash off, compared to other oil-based inks, which you would have to scrape off and throw in the trash and stuff like that. Not meant for being washed down sinks or drains or anything like that, because they could cause problems. That was one of the things we learned about when we were doing printmaking at school and stuff like that. Making sure to get rid of your materials appropriately. because some of them are also flammable too. So you definitely want to make sure you're not just tossing them in a tossing a ink covered rag into a dumpster in the middle of the hot summer days, because that could catch fire. So always good to make sure you take care of your materials and stuff that way. But yeah, not sure what else to do at the moment. Let's see. No, there's some other stuff I wanted to talk about. I know on Monday's stream I did show off that we got our sample copy for book number 3 in stock here. I say in stock, but in-house. That's my one sample that I purchased. I did find some issues and some errors and some things I wanted to correct with that sample, but I did submit my new updated book pages to Ingram Spark. Already got the approval for those. So I'm just trying to make it. Takes about, unless I do rush printing, which I don't like to do rush printing, rush shipping maybe. Takes about a month for them to send me another sample if I just go the long route. Which would be, I really love to get. I think the hard part about doing this type of book printing and stuff like that. Actually, hold on real quick. Let me switch my microphone. Okay, we should be back now. The thing with it's really hard. Like I don't know how other people do it with their self-publishing and stuff like that, but I really like to have that final product in hand, so that I can go through and make sure. There might be slight things that bug me, but a lot of times I can just get past part of that and just be like, nope, it's like 99% there. I should be okay. But like since I already got the first print copy back, and I made, I wouldn't say significant changes, but I made some pretty big changes on a few pages and stuff like that. It's really like weighing on me that I should get one more copy printed and sent to me before I order a big roll or big ream of them, just to make sure that everything is good and stuff like that. Sad part is that's going to cut into some of the cost a little bit there, but in some places, in some instances, it's a necessary thing. Hard to do, especially as we're moving further into having more and more books available. This stuff is not cheap. I'm just saying. It's a do I want to call it a hobby? Not an expensive hobby. An expensive business? I don't know. One of those two things. But yeah, so lots of things. I still got to print out. I got to get my banners printed and sent to me too. We've got lots going on. I don't have my, where is my, I have a calendar of events set up for the next 3 or 4 months with all the stuff that I've got going on here. We've got lots to talk about in the coming months here. Lots of announcements to put out there. Lots of events. Hopefully, we've got a couple events already on the books. Hopefully a few more will pop up here in the next couple months, so we'll be able to throw those out there as well. But yeah, we're just kind of slowly, we're getting to the part where I'm gonna start doing more with the announcements as we roll towards our July release date. So definitely make sure and stay tuned. We're going to let's see, when am I announcing? We're going to announce the release day for book number 3 in a couple weeks here. So stay tuned on either the videos I put out on YouTube or the ones that I put together and put up on Instagram. That will have all the information. Doing some cool stuff there. So yeah, some cool videos hopefully coming up here soon. I got lots of work to do on them. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the idea. Kind of get this stuff out of the way before we get to our end of our stream here. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't think the ink is thick enough to do what I want it to do, to get that nice juicy blacks like this. Yeah, different application for different type of ink. But we did get good print out of our paper though. That's the crazy part. Not too bad. Wonderful. Feel a little sticky too. Yeah, we definitely lost some detail and stuff in the eyes. All right, well, we've got about 10, let's see. Oh, so we've got about 8 minutes and 42 seconds here before we hit our last ad for the stream, and then we get done for the day. So let me see if there's some other things that I want to throw up here real quick before we get done. Oh no, that comes out tomorrow. I was thinking about like, oh, I could talk about our weekly post, but that's tomorrow's. I did forget to talk about our weekly post from last week. I had built this video before I had left for our little mini vacation. So it's kind of got some video from the past couple weeks where we were working on cutting our block, getting ready basically for today and doing our test prints and stuff like that. So, but you can see a little bit of my setup there, see some of the progress that we made before we went on our little break there. And then the concept of where it came from. There's the final image. You guys have seen that a whole bunch of times. And then our process of transferring the actual design from being printed on our printer on being transferred to our linoleum block, which then we started cutting. So it's a little compressed version of everything that was going on, but yeah, kind of get the idea. So that was last week's video. Just wanted to go over that real quick. But yeah, trying to burn up a little bit of time here. Let's see. Got a couple things. Let's go into where do I want to go? No, not gonna do that. I was gonna show you some of the changes I made to some of the book pages, but I think we're gonna wait. We're gonna surprise people with that when it comes out. Nothing major, just little things that I changed out. But What else is in here? Yeah, I really don't have anything else to show at the moment. Let's mess around in here for a second. There's a couple things I did want to change here. Where's that mouth at? Where is that face at? That one. I don't like that one. I think I wanted to change this one a little bit here. I don't like that as much. Let's try that. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. The other one was a little harsh. It had too many points to it. There we go. That's better. There was another one that I was looking at that I wanted to change. Can't remember which one it was though. Let's go ahead and save this one real quick. Oh, you guys didn't get to see any of that. Dummy. It happens. What I was doing is I was playing in here in Illustrator, changing out this face here. It didn't look like this a second ago. Look kind of like, oops, look like that. Not very good. That looks better. Hi, did you get to do the print? Yeah, I did some stuff here. I'll show you. Shoop. Worked on some of the stuff. It didn't turn out great. It's not too bad. It's alright. Definitely have to replan and reorient and figure out some things. It's very, very light. It definitely does not have, and a lot of the details have disappeared, so it's not ideal. You have to see it when you get home, Dreamer. But yeah. The problem is it's not. If I end up going this process, I know you wanted to do a bunch of work or to do this. It was a lot of work just to get to this point. I did a whole bunch of test prints and everything else like that on paper. So like the paper one looks not bad. That doesn't look too terribly bad. But the bag one ended up being definitely less detailed, way lighter, kind of thing. So we're gonna have to reassess and see what we want to do. Go from there. So yeah. But we've got about 30 seconds here before the ad break comes up. So let me switch over to I know our assistant is not in his spot. I just heard him get out of the bathroom, but we'll switch over to that. Just hoping to see, love you, and have a great day. All right. Have a good day. I'll see you later this evening or this afternoon. Yeah, our assistant is off doing his thing, but we're going to take our 3-minute ad break, and then when we come back, we'll roll up our stream for the afternoon. So stick around. We'll be right back. Assistant never came back. It's okay. We'll switch back to our camera here and see our final results. All right, peoples, that is it for the day. I will be back. Let's see. I will not be here this coming Friday. So, unless I do a later stream, which I might do. Like I talked about at the beginning of the stream, my son has a competition. It's a 4-day competition. yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they have the closing ceremonies on Friday. So I will have to be there in the morning to see if he has won any prizes for competing in Skills USA. So I will be gone on Friday. I will not be here. So, or I will be later than normal. I will be jumping on a little bit, hopefully a little bit later. As long as the ceremony doesn't take too long, but that's the plan. Otherwise, you know what? I should double check. We got a minute. Let's double check. Let's see. That's on here. Look at this. We want the schedule. Not worried about today's stuff. We want Friday's stuff. Closing ceremonies is 8:30 a.m. Yes, so I will all the way till 10 a.m. Yeah, so I will probably be either on later or I will just not be here on Friday because of that competition. So I apologize for that. I feel like I've abandoned y'all again. Took a week, did a bunch of stuff, and then came back and taking another Friday because of school stuff for the kids. But that's life. That's the way it rolls. So that's okay. But I will be back probably next Monday for more, hopefully figuring out some of this craziness that I've got going here. So other than that, thank you to Sunny for being here. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Bshak, for hanging out for a little bit. Thank you, Dreamer, for stopping in for a minute. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming by and hanging out. Hopefully this was somewhat interesting to watch, somewhat weird. I don't know. Never know what's going to happen with this kind of stuff, so. But I appreciate y'all coming by and watching, so. Other than that, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.